Hello everyone. Today our topic is the past continuous tense. In this video, we will be learning about how to form and use the past continuous tense. We use the past continuous tense for an action in progress at a particular point of time in the past. In other words, we use it to describe a past action over a period of time. We also can say for ongoing actions. We use it when we want to emphasize the continuing process of an activity or the period of that activity. As you can see in the picture, you started doing something in the past, you continue doing that action for a while, and then you finish doing it. That process, that continuing of an action is expressed by past continuous tense. For example, yesterday at 5 o'clock, I was watching a movie on TV. At midnight, we were still driving through the desert. Yesterday at this time, I was working on a report with a colleague. To explain in more detail, we can say, let's say we're talking about yesterday around 6 o'clock. And you started working on a report with a colleague at 4 o'clock. And then you continue working at 5 o'clock. You were still continuing working, and then you finished working on that report at 6 o'clock. So here we're talking about the process and ongoing action in the past. We also use past continuous to talk about an action in progress in the past which was interrupted by another short action. In other words, we use it to describe a past action over a period of time. We also can say for past ongoing actions. So we use it when we want to emphasize the continuing process of an action or the period of that activity. For example, let's say you started cooking last night and you need some time to cook, right? You cannot just finish it like that. So as you were cooking dinner, which is a long action, your phone rang and your mom called, which is a shorter action compared to cooking dinner. So you can say, while I was cooking dinner, which is a long action, the phone rang, which is a short action. So we can say, while John was sleeping last night, someone stole his car. Sammy was waiting for us when we get off the plane. While I was writing the email, the computer suddenly went off. As you can see, all these actions somehow happen at the same time. A long action is interrupted by another short action in the middle of an activity. We often use the past continuous tense with the simple past tense. We use the past continuous to express a long action and simple past tense to express a short action that happens in the middle of the long action, as I've mentioned before. We can join the two ideas or two activities or two actions with when or while. Remember that we use when before a short action in the simple past and while before a long action in the past continuous. For example, I was studying when she called. Or while I was studying, she called. As you can see, to call someone is a shorter action compared to studying. That's why we use when before the short action and we use while before the long action, which is studying. The third way of using past continuous tenses for parallel actions that were happening at the same time in the past. Be careful. This time, both actions should be happening at the same time. That's why there shouldn't be any interruption in the middle of one action. For example, were you listening while he was talking? As you can see, listening and talking are two actions that happen at the same time. That's why they are both expressed by using past continuous. I wasn't paying attention while I was writing the letter, so I made several mistakes. Again, paying attention and writing were happening at the same time. That's why we both use past continuous tense for these two activities. The fourth one is to set the scene for a story. In English, we often use a series of parallel actions to describe the atmosphere at a particular time in the past. For example, when I walked into the office, several people were busily typing. Some were talking on the phones, the boss was yelling directions, and the customers were waiting to be helped. One customer was yelling at a secretary and waving his hands. Others were complaining to each other about the bad service. When you look at this paragraph, as you can see, the actions, the activities that were written in red, they all describe us what was happening in the office when I walked in there. They are all parallel actions that were happening at the same time. That's why we used past continuous tense. So the rule for past continuous tense is with I, he, she, and it, we use was. With we, you, they, we use were, and the verb with the ing. I hope it was helpful. See you next time.